so you can see the comments and stuff as they come in. Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
We're good to go. Welcome everyone to our Friday night live stream. Let us know in the live chat. Happy holidays, by the way. Where's everyone hopping in from today? Hi, put it in the live chat and or comment it. Today we have an inspiring story to share with you guys. It is from Richard and Julia. So we're going to share their carnivore story, success and transformation, and then we will take questions after. So let's get right into it. Julia, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, and then Richard, how did you find carnivore?
Okay. So I found carnivore because of my brother Richard. I thought it was absolutely insane. So just a little recap about my background. So I've been really vegetarian all my life and vegan for the last 11 years or so. I started having a bit of ghee in the last couple of years, influenced from when I was traveling in India. And basically I found, I was just really abhorrent about meat, and yet Richard was all of a sudden like, I only eat the T-bone and this kind of thing. And I'm like, well, that's going to be very interesting to see how our lives evolve as we go along, because he's the baby, just a year and a half younger than me. Anyway, it was about 3.5 months ago now that I slipped on the mat at home and I broke my hip. And I did fall hard, like the mat just really slid from under my foot, but I shouldn't have broken my hip like that. And my understanding is that the neck of the femur actually kind of concertinaed. So I've got this big piece of metal that looks like a gun on that x-ray. So that's my way of saying it's cool. But yeah, so I thought, well, I was in hospital basically for almost 3 weeks. And I thought, well, okay, this is the time. I've always experimented with diet. I've always been interested in health. That's always been a really key player. And maybe I'm doing things wrong. So I'll experiment on myself. And while I'm here, other people can cook the food. They can cook the meat. So I'm not getting, because I'd go to the shopping, in the supermarket. I'd be walking like this when I see the meat aisle and holding my breath. So, very, very much veggie. Yeah, so you can't keep doing the same thing and expect that there'll be change, like Einstein says. It's like the fly that keeps hitting its head on the window, and if it just moved to a little bit, it could actually fly out. So I don't want to be like that. You have to change when change is required. So since they were cooking for me and the meals were great in the hospital, thank you, Australian hospitals, no complaints there at all. So 3 meals a day. And so that meant when I left the hospital and came home, I bought an air fryer because I did try to cook. I'd never really cooked meat, and I tried cooking it, and I'd set the alarms off and had to open all the doors and the windows and frighten the neighbors. So I bought an air fryer so it can all be contained, and I could just hit the button and there it was. Yeah, that's sort of my background.
Awesome. Richard.
Oh, I'm a lifelong, experimenter with health, and always been looking to how I can improve my health. And when I first heard of carnivore, I guess the first time I ever tried carnivore was probably when I was in my early 20s, so it was like 30-something years ago, 35 years ago. And I heard of the idea of having raw meat, marinated raw meat as part of our martial arts training. And so I did that. I did that for a week, and I thought, well, that was pretty cool. And that was just a sort of a one-time experiment. And the idea was like, you can't do this forever, but you try it out. It's good. It's good for your health and for your vitality. And I felt pretty good with it, but I didn't really pay all that much attention because it wasn't a thing I'd ever heard of that was done at all. Eating vegetables, we were always so raised as eating vegetables is really important, and the vegetables are an important part of what we ate. We always had meat. It was meat and 3 veg, like the standard traditional Australian food. But there was always the 3 veg. It was never just meat. It was always meat and 3 veg. So that seemed like, I guess I was just raised to believe that was essential. And it's funny now because I look back upon it. I haven't eaten any vegetables in about 4 or 5 years. I don't really miss them at all. We had a Christmas dinner the other night, and someone had made this broccoli salad, and I thought, oh, broccoli, I'll eat a piece of that. I ate it, and I thought, boring. And I didn't even go, oh my goodness, I can't believe what I've been missing out on. Like people who haven't eaten meat for years will eat meat and just like, oh my God. It was like not even slightly like that. It was the exact opposite. It was like, I guess if I never eat that again, I won't miss it. So, but we were raised to think that we were supposed to eat vegetables. You know how you have to convince children to eat vegetables? Like they give us a clue, right? They make it pretty obvious. It's like if you don't convince them, they're just not going to eat vegetables because the kids know. But here we are forcing them to eat vegetables. We have heaps of adults. I hear it all the time because I'm a chiropractor. I have patients who I work with, and I often guide them towards eating more meat, if not eating only meat. And they'll say, oh, really common refrain. Oh, but I love my vegetables. I could not eat vegetables. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I think most people love their vegetables simply because they've been convinced that they should love their vegetables when they're children, and they sort of like they didn't love them before they're forced to love them. You don't give a child a choice between eating meat and eating a carrot, and they eat the carrots. That's typically not what happens.
Oh, I did that.
There are exceptions to every rule. They proved the rule, of course. So anyway, I was just an experiment from right back then, and so more recently, I heard Joe Rogan interviewing Jordan Peterson, and he mentioned that he was carnivore. And I thought, oh, that's interesting, because I developed a lot of food intolerances over the years. And I was aware of those, and I was sort of restricting a lot of different foods and finding out as I cut certain foods out that I did a lot better. But I hadn't thought of the idea that all plants could be the problem, or that it was plants versus meat, and the meat typically isn't the problem, and the plants typically are the problem in terms of food intolerances. I hadn't quite got that far, and I heard that, and that was inspiring. And then I listened to the interview with Sean Baker. And I was like, man, this guy's an orthopedic surgeon. He's like, what, 240 pounds in American weight or whatever he is. And he's just a monster in terms of physical ability. He's the same age as me.
Wow.
So I'm thinking, maybe there's something in this. So one day I just decided, that's it. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go carnivore. I'm just gonna eat meat, and I'll just do this for a few months, and I'll just see what happens. And it was funny because it's like it's sort of like what you now have those vegan recovery videos, you know, where they're eating the meat. I'm there eating. I'm eating the meat, and I'm just not eating the vegetables. I'm thinking, oh, don't eat those vegetables. I'm going to get all these cancers. Still believing, you know, the colon cancer thing. Well, not entirely believing it. I've looked at the literature. I was aware of it, but I was like, it's just been so programmed into us. And I was like, no, whatever. I'll try the experiment out. And I just felt so much better. It was dramatic. The improvement in my mental clarity and my physical strength was so good. My bowels went really quiet for a few days, and then they just went completely crazy. I had this huge cleaning out going on, which is just unbelievable, really quite unexpected. But then I found I lost weight, and I kept losing weight. And so I went from, where did I go from? 83 kilograms down to 73 kilograms. So I plotted the weight on an Excel sheet, and it was just like a straight line. And when it hit 73, I was like, no, that's it. I need to turn this around. So I started bringing carbs back into my diet, and my weight just went straight back up again. I felt a lot stronger. By the time I got down to 73, I was starting to feel quite weak. So initially I felt great, but then I didn't. I felt really, I lost a lot of. I didn't have a lot of body fat to lose, but lost a lot of muscle mass. And when I get thrown on the ground in jiu-jitsu, it would hurt, whereas before it didn't. And I was like, oh, this isn't right. So I started bringing the carbs back in. So it's been a bit of a balancing act, trying to find that balance. But I found I just couldn't eat enough fat and meat to be able to keep the weight on. I just didn't see enough to it. But as time has gone on, I've reached a point where now I can maintain my weight quite easily, eating fat and meat. I still want to grow a bit more because I feel that I've been undernourished all of my life because I just wasn't able to. I was eating foods that I was intolerant to, and I've had a lot of trouble with my bowels for all my life, even since I was really young. And so once I worked that out, I was able to actually put weight on. Now I'm 94. I'd like to crack 100. That's my goal.
That's killer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Crack 100, I'll be happy.
Love it. Julia and Richard, just share your age, both of you, please, and how long you were vegan. Okay, so share both of that.
Yes, I'm 59, and I've been vegan for about 11 years, but really vegetarian all my life. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm 57. I don't know. I would never say I was vegan. I tried being vegetarian for a year when I was like maybe in my 20s.
Wow.
And then I moved to Japan, and over in Japan, you know, everyone was giving me all this beautiful food. And so I ate all this meaty food, and I was just feeling amazing, so strong. Oh, this feels so good. I don't think this vegetarian stuff really was what it was made out to be, and that was sort of broke that for me. But that was a long time ago.
I can't imagine being vegetarian or vegan your whole life and then going on a carnivore diet, because I was vegan for 6 years, Julia. So hearing your story is just very jaw dropping. And, you know, a lot of people, they'll come to me and say, well, it's interesting that you used to be vegan and you're currently carnivore, because so many people are talking about how the vegan diet is the best diet. It's not only the best diet for humans, but it's also the best diet to choose for planet Earth, for the environment, to save the climate. So it's a lot of these very popular statements that we have to constantly prove ourselves for as carnivores, you know? So I'd love to talk about this topic today. And if you both are okay with it, let's answer questions from the community. This is the best thing about the live stream, is we get all of the latest, most interesting questions from those who are interested in this lifestyle, people who are actually serious about it, which is very refreshing, unlike what I get on Instagram. So that's why I do YouTube live streams with the team.
Something I've noticed, Bella, is it seems to be quite a large number of people who go from being vegan to carnivore. Like people who go from like general omnivorous sort of style of eating to carnivore, they definitely happen. But there seems to be a lot. I don't just in my what I sort of picked up, what I don't even have stats to back it up, but my feeling is there seems to be a lot of people who go from vegan to carnivore. And I think it's probably people who are looking for they're looking for a better way, they're looking for the right way, they're looking to better themselves. And so they go down because it's been a lot of that promotion of the idea that that's the right way, and then people working out that it's not. And thinking, well, there must be something different, and so they're going to the exact opposite pole. I'm finding out maybe there's a bit more truth over there.
No, I see that pattern a lot. I do. And I think the whole mentality with vegans going vegan in the first place is they were already searching for an answer to heal. They were already on the path of, well, I'm desperate and I need to heal. And so they decided to choose vegan. But somehow a lot of these vegans who need to heal, they inevitably land on carnivore. And so that's why I see a lot of vegans go straight to carnivore, myself included. But I would say most of the people who need to heal, they are coming from a standard American diet. You'll see way more of those stories, which is, you know, absolutely the more, Raymond, Todd, Lindy, Phil, all of them, you know? So, okay, let's jump into the questions. Let me go through today's encouragements for Q&A, because last week we tested a little bit of a rapid fire technique where those in the live chat right now, please request for a specific person on our panel today. If you want Limitless Lindy, just do Q at Limitless Lindy and ask your question. This way we can really answer as many questions as possible with the right candidate that you would like to request from. So name, question, we will start answering now. And thank you so much for joining, everyone. I see a lot of familiar faces. Caleb, so good to see you. Oh my God. Okay. Also, the Arizona meetup is happening in just a few days, January 4th. Todd and I will be there. A lot of amazing carnivore stories will be featured. You can hang out with us and eat. So to get the tickets, Jorge, you cannot show up and get tickets. Unfortunately, you do have to book your tickets in advance. And Todd or Lindy, if you guys can just drop the links in the live chat, no rush, but we will drop it in the live chat so you guys can book your tickets and hang out with us there. It is hosted by Homestead Howe and Adam from the Healing Humanity team. Can't wait.
Sounds great. I don't know if we'll be able to make it.
I know.
Where are you two out of?
Brisbane, Australia.
Oh, goodness. No. Yeah.
Sort of diametrically off the side of the planet, so it might be a bit tough on the short notice.
Just gonna start
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, well, let's get into the questions here. I'm going to just scroll up a bit and start from the top. Let me just start with, here's the start. All right. This one, let's just all collectively help. I don't see a name. From Alexandra, welcome. I've been carnivore for 7 months and healed the majority of my body, but I am still struggling with hormone balance. Do you have any tips on what I can do to help with balancing hormones? Okay, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Julia.
Oh, okay. So you were saying before there's a reason why people go vegan in the first place. Because I used to eat meat sometimes when I went out or other people's places because I thought that I should. And then I did a really big deep dive because I had health problems, which was related to menopause. So I had early menopause and it was really, really extreme. And I was trying to find a way to heal myself. So, and this is why it's so tricky these days, just to know what's real and what's true. It's so hard because it's all about the algorithm and getting people to want to buy your product or your service as opposed to someone else's. So, you know, I mean, I'm not a silly person, and I researched till the cows came home, watched everything about veganism. It's like, yeah, this is the way to go on all those different reasons that you mentioned before, you know, environment as well as health and so on. So I had extreme menopause symptoms, and I would be, every 40 minutes, I'd be like burning up. I would literally open the freezer and put my head in it. And then I'd lie on the tiles on the kitchen floor, like when no one was around, like just lie there with as little on as possible and just try and cool down. And it was about every 40 minutes or so. No, it would last for about 40 minutes, sorry, and it'd be on a regular basis, like, you know, when it was the main part of it. So that's why I went to vegan, because I thought I have to make changes. And then I rented out my property. I went and lived in ashrams and studied lots of yoga and became a yoga teacher and things like that. So, you know, I really thought I was doing all the right thing. But, you know, when you start having a lot of other health issues, which, you know, osteoporosis is obviously a major health issue, but lots of problems with my teeth, lots of trouble with anything that ate, making me swell up, sugar cravings that would drive me nuts. And it just made me feel like a loser all the time. It was like, why can't I stop? And I'd be eating my vegan food and I'd have everything exactly how you're supposed to have it. And all I could think about was what I'm going to eat next. But to get back to your question there, Alexandra, sorry, I don't mean to digress, but I've started reading, when I started to go, okay, I'm going to go carnivore. So I watched all the videos, which is how I found Bella at Steak and Butter. And Raymond, actually listening to him is why I decided to join when he talked about the plantar fasciitis and feet problems, because I was having trouble walking for more than 5 minutes for a lot of this year with foot pain. And I'm just, you know, just so many things gone wrong. But anyway, I read Dr. Elizabeth Bright's book and listened to her, and she talked about menopausal women and postmenopause and balancing hormones, and it's fat and butter and things like that. So I am my own N=1. I decided to do an experiment on myself, and I had all my blood work done when I was in the hospital, and I'll go and get them checked in like 6 months in a year and get my DEXA scan again and see, you know, what difference this is making. But honestly, it's so hard to know what the right thing is, but I do believe I didn't do the right thing. And I really did it. I mean, I was saying to the others before I came here, I was living in Sydney for a while and got involved with some vegan activism, and I was invited to join the Cube, which is where everyone wears a mask and hold a TV screen with pictures of slaughterhouses, like in the middle of the mall and things like that. I didn't actually go to that one, but you know, you couldn't really get much more vegan than I was, but wow. You can't keep doing the same thing. But if I was to, now my hormones, you know, I don't have that problem. Like I had that for 7 years. So thanks, that was enough. But there's a lot of other factors. There's mental emotion as well. So I think that all yoga and everything really sorted that side of things out. But if I had hormonal stuff, I'd be reading Dr. Elizabeth Bright stuff. I'd be looking at meat and fat. And of course, everybody here, I think that's the way. They say the brain is, well, it's made of fat, you know, and the bones are made of collagen. They're not just this calcium matrix. So where are we getting that from with a plant? We're just not. After a while, it starts getting more and more logical. And then I just get upset with all the disinformation. And when I tell a couple, and you can imagine in my lifestyle, everyone is vegetarian. Everything I go to is bring a vegetarian plate. It's just veggie everywhere I go. So I have to actually keep it secret, my diet. So for most people, obviously I'm out here now, but they won't be watching this video. So yeah, but if I had my time again, I wouldn't have taken that path.
Yeah.
I'd go to the ashram and then take my air fryer and hide it in my room. I don't know what I'd do.
Well, now you know what works. So I'm so happy that you found the answer, which is just eating animal foods. You don't even have to go full carnivore, really. And I tell this to so many young women who are intimidated by going full carnivore. And I see the live chat comments as well. Like, I just can't go completely carnivore, or I'm going to start carnivore in January, which you guys should, because it's World Carnivore Month and we all can celebrate together. But it's okay. It is scary. Going only meat, only animal foods, not an easy feat. So really, my answer for you, Alexandra, and I can tell in your profile pic you're younger, fat, animal fat. If there's one step forward that you can take, it's just eating more animal fat. Even if it means you're cutting out just the junk, adding in only animal fats, that will do more for your female hormones and balancing your hormones than doing anything else, especially going full on carnivore, because the amount of stress that will cause you, that's not beneficial. We still want to enjoy the journey of healing. We're not here to get shortcuts and sprint to the end of the race, right? And we're here to support you. So come back in these live chats, live streams, and keep us posted.
I very much agree with that. I always say those, it's not just female hormones. For men, it's the same. The steroids are all cholesterol based. They're all derived from fats. So it's the same for the men.
Absolutely, same for the men. And I saw you get up there. You look pretty much the same in muscular muscle density as Dr. Baker. So whatever you're doing.
I wish.
Next year.
How tall are you, Richard?
6'2".
Oh, okay, wow. Okay.
Great.
That's really good. Good for you. All right, let's keep going.
We have a super chat.
Oh, we do? Let's do the super chat. Thank you, Jeffrey. All right, this is for Dr. Phil. Jeffrey says, hypothyroid almost 30 years, not irradiated. Synthroid 1.5 mcg. My last med, LETT. Any chance of that coming back?
That's a great question. I really wish I knew the answer to this. Thyroids are funny. Obviously, Jeffrey noted that it wasn't removed surgically, because if it's removed surgically or irradiated, we can pretty much tell you it's not coming back. But we really never really know how much thyroid function you actually have. And as long as you're taking Synthroid, you would be suppressing any thyroid that you would be making. So I have no idea what's going to happen, Jeffrey, over the next 5 to 10 years as carnivore for you. But it does take time. Some people do recover. It's pretty rare. So I would be more apt to just relegate yourself to take the Synthroid and maybe 2 to 3 years down the road, start seeing if your doctor will work with you to taper it down and see what happens with your TSH and your thyroid hormones, and give it a trial. But you have to go very, very slowly, because that Synthroid you're taking shuts down your thyroid stimulating hormone, which is produced by the pituitary, and will mask any waking up of the thyroid. So it'll be an interesting thing. It's not going to be quick, but I think it's worth a trial. I'm curious myself. I've been carnivore for 16 months, and I will probably next year give it a trial for myself as well. So wish you luck with that.
Ooh, excited to follow along, Phil. Yeah. Thank you.
I think it's useful to keep in mind too that it seems to me that the lack of thyroid function is such a common excuse used by people not to lose weight. And I don't mean to attack people in saying that. It's like, oh, you don't understand. I can't lose weight though because I've got the thyroid problem. And it seems to me that the thyroid problems are very secondary. It's because of the way they're eating in the first place that the thyroid shuts down. And that might be part of the mechanism of why you're holding the weight on, but it's not the root issue. And if you address those root issues, you set yourself up in the best sort of situation where your thyroid is going to be able to recover. And that has to be eating carnivore and eating plenty of meat and plenty of fat.
Absolutely. Love it. This is from Nav. Welcome back. Good to see you. Nav comes every single week, so shout out to you for being consistent. Doing OMAD and losing weight. I do poo every day. I was like, so yes, poop every day. I don't eat a lot. Yeah. I don't eat a lot, so I don't think I'm digesting and absorbing all my food. What could be the issue? My guess is microbiome related. Okay, look, carnivores, we love to almost boast that we poop less, but it doesn't mean that pooping every day is a bad thing, Nav. I just want to put that out there. Todd, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, same thing. I think it took me a while to get there too, because if you're not breaking down your food, if your gut microbiome isn't healthy, and that took a while. It actually took priming, and it took for me, what kicked it in was priming and amino acid therapy. When I did that, I went from digesting meat over like an 8-hour period to like a 3.5-hour period. And then that's when my body started utilizing that a lot more. And when I started utilizing it, then I became a once or twice a week guy. So.
Raymond, how about you?
Love that. No, so doing OMAD and losing weight, is that not your intention, Nav? Is Nav trying to lose weight or not lose weight?
I do remember Nav asking questions about weight loss. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but as far as digesting and your body not absorbing a lot of food, remember, if you're doing OMAD, it's actually very difficult to, if your body's already kind of has motility issue, it's going to be hard for it to digest. I would say step off the OMAD, do some 3 MADs or actually more meals, but smaller meals to get that stomach moving a little better, and where it doesn't have to like have such a big backlog. So try that if your case is for not losing weight and you're trying to gain weight, obviously more meals throughout the day would be a good idea too.
Yeah, interesting. Go ahead.
I have a question about everything. I don't know if you're interested in hearing my comments on every question. Well, look, I mean, it depends how long he's been doing the OMAD. If it's a relatively short period of time, it's like under 12 months, he could still just be cleaning out residue from his colon and just like stuff just coming out. I would just, my first thought is I'd say whatever's happening, it sounds cool to me. Let it play its way through. You could still be cleaning out old residue. If you've been doing it for like 3 years or so, then maybe not so much. But something that I found was, because I distended my colon for so long, or this is my theory, presumably because I distended my colon for so long with such a high fiber diet, at first I had like a lot of elimination to do, but then I would do very few bowel movements. It'd be like 7-10 days between bowel movements. But for me now, it's been 5 years. I'm carnivore. I go every day. Really small, really effortless. And it's like, oh, I need to go, and it's done. And it's always like just a simple and effortless process. But there was a period of time where I went very infrequently. So I would see that as being likely at just a stage that you go through, to be honest.
That's a good point.
I love that. Wow. 5 years and now going every day. I'm 6 years and now going like once a week on average.
Yeah.
So it's just so fascinating to see where everybody sits with frequency of pooping. I'll pass the question. Oh, maybe. So I'll pass this question to everyone in this live stream. If you guys want to answer, we'd love to know though. How frequently do you go number 2 per week? Not per day, but per week. How many times? And we can see the variety there. Let's keep going. Thank you, Nav. Hope that was helpful. I'll take this one from Maxi. Hello from Paraguay. Wow. Question: 51 female, 4 months now, carnivore, healing well, but I seem to have lost my period. So 4 months in, I would say I see a lot of women, myself included, have fluctuations in their period, whether it be the frequency of their period. I see women coming into carnivore and they're suddenly having spotty periods. They're suddenly skipping months. They're suddenly having shorter cycles. So don't be alarmed, because I just see that as the body adjusting. It's all part of being fat adapted. So really trust the process. Keep eating the fats. Like the other question from the other female, eat more animal fat and give it some more time. I would give it like 6 to 8 months for your hormones and cycle to really settle and adapt to carnivore. We see this all the time. Okay. Could anyone, here we go again. Nav, I was doing 3 meals a day for 6 months and was not seeing results with health or weight. I have IBS and I was pooping every day, multiple times with three meals a day. So it's a little additional detail to his last question.
Right. Yeah.
Do any of us have additional thoughts for Nav? Raymond?
I mean, this is okay. So you're worried about your pooing every day. Like I said, I just like Bella was saying, I have clients that that do poop every day, every meal, after every meal, and they've been doing it for a while. And that doesn't necessarily mean your microbiome is off. So I am curious about what you mean by your microbiome might have an issue. Also, just to be aware, I had more of a looser diarrhea kind of dish for like the first 9 months of my carnivore diet. So, it's just different for a lot of people. So if you're having normal, healthy bowel movement, then that's good. But as far as with IBS too, because I have IBS, that's a slow heal. The digestion of the colon, for me, it's been a very slow heal, and but it does patch up, and you'll notice that your stool would just be just more solid instead of like diarrhea-ish or greenish or whatever other color. So look for that. Don't, there's no reason to jump the gun, and it's good to do some OMADs. It's good to do, back and forth, 3-MAD, OMAD, alternate days, whatever, on that fasting schedule to just enhance your healing. For IBS, it's very important to get fasting in to help the healing on the gut. At least it was for me.
Thank you, Raymond. Wow. Thank you, Stefano. I think this is your first time here. Welcome to the live stream. Hi, has anyone here cured H. pylori and stomach ulcer using carnivore diet? Thank you. I'll start with you, Raymond.
Yeah, so I've had clients that has done H. pylori, and that's helped them a lot. The stomach ulcer, I've not had any that I know of from my clientele that's had an issue with stomach ulcer with the carnivore diet. But I would imagine with the IBS and IBD, any of those irritable bowel disease, they're all kind of related, and they do seem to get better, much better results. So with the H. pylori, I believe if you're not eating sugar or carbs, there's nothing to feed it or nothing to aggravate it. So that helps wonderfully with no antibiotics too. Well, I don't want to say that, because if you are doing it, please follow the doctor's orders.
Yeah, of course. And we do have a retired MD here. So what are your thoughts, Phil, on this one?
Yeah, so H. pylori is probably the cause of stomach ulcers in most cases. So typically it's a bacteria that, back when I was training back in the 70s, we thought ulcers were due to a different problem. We thought they were too much stomach acid and things like that. And then they found in the 80s, they found this Helicobacter pylori, which lives in some people's stomach, and very high rate of stomach ulcers with that. So you want to eradicate the H. pylori. And when you eradicate the H. pylori, you eradicate the stomach ulcer risk. So the question is, can you do it with carnivore diet? And personally, I've not been in this community long enough to know that personally. Typically, it's treated with 3-drug therapy, 2 antibiotics, and a acid restrictor, a protein pump inhibitor drug for about 6 weeks. That throws a lot of people off. So I'm glad to hear Raymond has heard some people get better without the antibiotics. I know Rebecca Heitzman sometimes uses natural things also to heal. So you might want to check out her channel. But I would agree with Raymond. If you're being treated by a doctor and he's gave you the antibiotic therapy, I would definitely complete that. Then you do a breath test about 6 weeks later to see if you're still harboring H. pylori. And I would think carnivore would be a great recovery diet after H. pylori infection to prevent you getting H. pylori, because like Raymond said, it's a sign of a not well digestive system. And we see a lot of healing that occurs when people go carnivore, as opposed to eating the standard American diet, where people do get a lot of microbiome issues and H. pylori sensitivity because of trying to digest foods that aren't humanly digestible. And so you're putting a lot in your digestive tract that you're not adapted to really be digesting. And that's why carnivores don't need to worry so much about their microbiome and getting a lot of H. pylori in the first place. But if you've got it, like I said, I gave you some ideas, but personally, I wouldn't be afraid of doing the antibiotic therapy, but I would keep eating carnivore and get my flora reestablished as quickly as possible.
Amazing answer. Thank you so much, Phil. Yeah, let's keep going. Oh, hi, MM. Welcome back. Good to see you. I'm annoyed I woke up late for the start of this. Don't be annoyed.
I'm glad you're here.
Playbacks, and you're here. So that's what matters. So thank you for joining us. Do you have a question, MM? If you put it in the chat, we'll circle back. Okay. Thank you. Anyways, I'll do the next one. I'm at the top of the list here. We already did that. Okay, Jesse says, could anyone answer how to deal with acid reflux on the carnivore diet? So acid reflux, Todd has great answers. Go ahead. You're muted.
Sorry, the dog was barking. Sorry. Yeah. For me, it's just been staying carnivore and staying away from dairy. Dairy, for whatever reason, is the only thing that gave me a little bit of stomach issues, and anything with kind of histamines like the egg whites. But that's all that I needed to do. And then also the apple cider vinegar seems to help for me. I don't know why that is, but yeah.
That's typically the go-to solution for those with acid reflux is to utilize ACV. How do you incorporate it?
Man, when I'm having any kind of stomach acid, I just do a shot of it, or put a little bit in water and do a shot of it. But I also put some of it in with my meat, and I use it in like my beef broth when I slow cook meat as well. So
Nice.
Perfect. All right, this is for you, Dr. Phil. Okay. Catherine, can you help me interpret my APOB results, which I just got back today?
Well, I guess we'd need to know what they were, but as a general sense, okay, so let's talk about what APOB is first off, and then maybe Catherine can post them. But we talk about LDL cholesterol being the bad lipoprotein or bad cholesterol, and not all LDL cholesterol is the same. There are actually variable particle sizes within the family of LDL cholesterol proteins. And the APOB is actually the lowest particle size. Some people have what's called an A pattern, some people have a B pattern, which means you have a prevalence of the low hard LDL particles as opposed to the big fluffy LDL particles. The big fluffy LDL particles are not atherogenic, which means they don't clog your arteries. The small ones are the ones that are most atherogenic and tend to run in families that have really bad lipoprotein protocols. So typically, depending on the lab, you're going to be, APOs normally should be around mid-60s to about 130. If they're higher than that and your big particles are smaller, then that is problematic. That would be an indication to be on a statin or a cholesterol-lowering med. If you're carnivore, though, like me, I have lots of the large, fluffy LDL cholesterol because my body is using that big, fluffy LDL cholesterol to transport the fats around my bloodstream to use it for my metabolism because I'm fat adapted. And my small particle LDL is actually small. So that's how you interpret it. You look at the ratio of the different size particles, and you're either top heavy on the big ones or top heavy on the little ones. And being top heavy on the little ones is not a good thing and should be treated. Now, how do you treat it? Well, what causes the clogging of the arteries is not only the prevalence of the small particle LDL cholesterol, but also in the presence of lots of inflammation. And so the carnivore diet tends to reduce the total body inflammation that we get from the standard American diet. So you alter your risk factor by going on an inflammatory diet, especially eliminating seed oils and anti-insulin resistance, because those small, hard LDL particles are formed by two processes, either oxidation, which is due to inflammation, or from glycylation, which is due to high blood sugar from insulin resistance. So those are the two things you want to do to reduce those risk factors if you have lots of small particle, or you want to eliminate the small particle. And you want to eliminate them totally. You just want to get them into the normal range and not be your prevalent type of LDL cholesterol.
Aren't we lucky to get these master classes? Mini master class with Dr. Phil. Yay. I love that. So thank you very much, Phil. This is next for you, Todd. From please talk about heavy guy weight loss specific changes that others do not know about. Maybe ankle pressure and spinal realignment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it is very strange. I had no idea that, you know, the way I walked, the way my hips were going to be orientated, the way I'm more centered over my frame now. I grew over an inch in height in the last 23 months because everything's squared up and I'm not under 700 pounds of pressure anymore. And so everything, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's everything just realigned. It was weird. I didn't know what was going on. But as I was losing weight and sleeping, I was able to sleep normally because before I couldn't sleep for years without propping myself up. In fact, I had a very sore shoulder and my frame was screwed up because in order to breathe, I always had to sleep on my elbow behind me. So it was always like I was sleeping up on my elbow, kind of propped up on my elbow and shoulder. I did that for 20 plus years and hurt my shoulder. Back was out of alignment. Then I started being able to lay down flat and sleep because I wasn't getting suffocated anymore. And when I did that, my back hurt and my hips hurt and everything hurt. But something instinctually in me figured that was going to be good in the long run because this was the proper, it's just because I was sleeping like I wasn't used to it. And sure enough, everything started squaring up, my legs and everything, my hips and my knees and my ankles and everything squared up, my shoulders squared up, my back straightened up. And when all that happened, it was painful for, I don't know, about 90 days or more. But when it did, I was so much stronger and had so much better balance and so much better range of movement because I realized that before all that weight had actually made me kind of deformed, you know, it was pretty crazy. And then the other things that really happened was all that I had really terrible circulation. I had terrible lymphatic problems that were causing neuropathy. And so I didn't realize how much sensation and that I'd lost in all my lower extremities. And when they started coming back, I started feeling like I had my feet in a frying pan, like my feet were burning. But as soon as I felt that, I was like, I think this is a good thing. I think I'm getting feeling back. I think that's what this is. And that lasted for, I don't know, about 6 or 8 weeks, the burning feeling. And then sure enough, I started being able to move my toes better individually, you know. I just started having much more sensation back and dexterity back in all my lower extremities. It was pretty crazy. And then the skin healed up and lots of things happened. But yeah, I mean, that much weight. And I mean, it didn't even have to be that much weight. I see that in my sister when she had just a couple extra 100 pounds on her. That'll kind of deform your skeleton. It's crazy, but it does come back on carnivore. It's quite incredible. I mean, I'm a different person than I was 23 months ago for sure.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Do you want to talk about your shake plate? Do you find that helpful at all?
I find it hugely helpful. It helps with so many things. It helps create, you know, I have a hard time because I got a huge hernia. So I have a hard time doing core exercises. But that shake plate seems to be the right balance where it requires a little bit of stabilization muscles and it kind of keeps you on your toes. Allows me to do, I do a lot of squats, just body weight squats and even some 90-pound squats on there that built quite a bit of muscle. And it just gives me so much dexterity and balance back that I didn't have before. You know, I was used to for 20 years taken the tiniest of steps, and now I can actually step over things and I can slip and it's not a big deal, you know. And a lot of that's been the shake plate, just adding a lot of the stabilizer muscles back, just rigiding everything up and squaring everything up's been really handy.
Wow. Thank you, Todd. Let's keep going. Nav. Okay. Hands were dry cracking on the Lion diet. Now added eggs, butter, bacon, sardines. Now they are less dry, but still not great. Do I have an omega-3 deficiency? Should I up foods with omega-3s even more? I'll have you take this, Phil.
Yeah, I think the more essential fatty acids you get in your diet, and it's really typically not an omega-3 deficiency. It's an imbalance of your omega-3 and your omega-6, and you want to make sure that you have those in balance. So I would be focusing on making sure you're getting enough omega-3. I think that's good, and you might even consider lubricating with some tallow, and give yourself a little lubrication to feed the skin topically while you're doing that. But I would definitely increase the fat.
Yes, I'll second the tallow and beef fat on skin. It's the most similar to our own sebum that we naturally create. So it's very gentle, will not inflame your cracking hands, Nav. I highly recommend it. It's probably sitting in your fridge anyways. Yes, that fat, just take it out and smear it on your hands. And it's so soothing. It's great for eczema. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. When he makes one of his videos I watched where he gets bacon, cuts them into pieces and turns them into bacon chips, and then he gets the grease and
puts it on the skin. That's amazing.
Nice trick. I love that.
Yeah. I thought, I don't know about that one.
And actually, Dr. Bright, she has her bedside butter. So she's famous for, you can't stay asleep at night, put some bedside butter, eat it when you wake up, and soothe your skin by putting it on your skin. Might as well. Just
unless you're a lion tamer. Don't do this if you're a lion tamer.
Or if you have dogs, honestly. All right. This is from Tammy. I'm 10 months carnivore, ribeyes, butter, salt, but my bowel movements average 5 to 10 days apart. Ideas to improve my poop schedule. So maybe you came in a bit late, but 5 to 10 days apart is not that bad. It's actually very healthy if you don't feel blocked up, if you don't have symptoms of constipation or things that may show that you need to go, but you're not actually able to, which is constipation. So let's say she actually does feel blocked up. Okay. Raymond, best tips. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, if you're having pain, so when we're saying blocked up or, problem, you feel the urge to expel. So that's definitely an issue, and that could lead to, issues later on. Best tips on that. So if you're feeling that blocked up, I would try simple, easy solutions. For example, a salt flush. So it's something very simple. 32 ounces of water, and you're putting a teaspoon of salt on there, Himalayan salt, and then you stir it, and then you drink it within 5 minutes. So, and that usually tends to work. But I would not use those as a dependent kind of thing. So there are some people that actually depend on these things, and that's not a good idea. Remember, there's a reason that maybe we're not having as much bowel movements because we're just using everything up. So there is the habit. I know you're 10 months carnivore, but there is the habit that we're used to because we've been eating so much fiber and all of that, and we've been expelling almost every day. So there is that mental problem there. So just try to figure it out, which I don't know how to figure it out other than learning.
Well, with your salt flush tip, very helpful, probably the cheapest, easiest thing that you guys can do at home if you actually feel blocked up. Don't just do this every single day just for the sake of pooping every day, because you'll learn from this whole panel here is you just poop less on carnivore. Expect it. Unless you are unless you're adapting and you have the runny diarrhea like I did and Raymond did, different story. Still, it's adaptation. But with Tammy, actually try just warm hot water before the salt flush,
Yep.
because we don't want you to lean on too many extra
Good idea.
ingredients, added things. It could just be dehydration. Are you drinking enough water? Typically, carnivores are very hydrated, but try warm water, hot water, then do a warm salt flush if you need it.
Great.
Every 10 days sounds awesome.
I know, right?
That beats
Yeah.
my high score.
Sounds- I would certainly agree with your advice on acutely
Yes,
if you're
please.
with the salt water. But just in more generally, if it's a sort of an ongoing issue, then more water and more fat. Definitely more fat.
More fat too.
Definitely more fat. It makes a big difference to a lot of people.
Yes.
Great tip. Very good. All right. Hi, user one. Hi, all. She has a swollen thyroid, and the doctor recommended to have it removed. She is not on any hormones or medication. Should I convince her to try out carnivore first? Please advise. Thank you. So this person wants to know if they should try carnivore before having a swollen thyroid removed. Okay, Phil, you should take this.
She's talking about her mum.
Got it. Thank you.
Oh, her mom. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we don't practice medicine here. You need to work with your doctor. But the most common swelling of the thyroid is actually due to hypothyroidism. And but if they're asking to have it removed, my question would be, had they done a biopsy and they found that there's some change of cells, that they've become cancerous or precancerous? So that's why it's a little hard to recommend here. Most people don't have thyroids removed down because they have a goiter or a large thyroid. They take thyroid replacement, or they're put on extra iodine to do that. So I don't want to interfere here with what her doctor's doing, but in the United States, I see you're in England. United States, we do something called a fine needle aspirate of the thyroid, and we get a diagnosis, and then we decide what needs to be done. So, but typically you would put a person on thyroid replacement first if it's not cancerous. But without a biopsy, if they say it's not cancerous, but they haven't done a biopsy, I'm a little leery of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, we don't practice medicine here at all. And Phil's doing his best to give general knowledge and general answers. But I would like to actually just recommend for those who are going through a lot of healing, who may need some handholding, this is what the community, the Steak and Butter Gang, provides. You guys can hop on meetings with people on this panel, all of the people here, and you can talk to them. You can converse, learn, continue asking questions. And sometimes a YouTube live stream, this is just not the best platform or the best environment to help one-on-one things as serious as this. So if your mom joins, she can hop on the meetings and get the support that she needs as well. So we'll drop the link in the live chat for anyone who needs community and coaching. Okay. All right, let's keep going.
I might just say, though, it ties back to our conversation earlier. A lot of thyroid problems are a result of a poor quality diet. So again, we want to get to those root issues, and whether that's the full story here or even part of the story. I mean, you're obviously going to do better if you're eating, a diet that's like the most compatible with a healthy body and with a healthy thyroid gland, whether you have it removed or not. So I would certainly still recommend reducing carbohydrate intake, eating more meat, eating more fat,
Yes.
and obviously having more iodine, unless you already are. But like increasing iodine in your diet would seem like obvious steps to take. And if they say it's not cancerous, whether if they don't have a biopsy and they say they don't think it's cancerous, but they're saying they're talking about removing the gland, I mean, that sounds extraordinary to me. I would be jumping down that path without.
Yeah, I agree, Richard. There's not too many indications to remove a thyroid unless you have what we call a hot nodule, which is a overactive nodule in it that you remove. And to take the whole gland out without a biopsy would not be what I would recommend for anyone. So there's so many options.
And it doesn't sound like it's urgent if they're not concerned that it's cancerous.
Thank you for your thoughts.
Yeah.
Sorry, just that no one is saying anything here about alcohol. So I saw one of the questions early on was, I'm confused about what to drink. And, alcohol, I think, has a basis for a lot of illness in the body. It's just an accepted drug. So, that'd be one of the first things. Well, to me, that's one of the first things you look at to do with anything to do with health. How much are people drinking?
It's certainly true when you're in the health community. You sort of don't tend to think of alcohol and cigarettes. Because I mean, who would consume those? But a lot of people do.
That's true. I always forget that most people, especially those who are still in their 20s and 30s, they're having alcohol like every weekend, if not every other night, And so when alcohol comes up, I'm like, oh yeah, a lot of people are still drinking that stuff.
Right.
About that.
Or smoking. Yeah.
Or smoking. Yeah.
You see some.
Not to mention the
Vaping
expense.
mostly. Vaping nowadays.
Yeah.
Do they have the ingredients written on it?
Oh,
I
no,
doubt that.
no.
Yeah.
Who knows? All right. Sorry, I removed the comment, but if you can put it up, thank you. Ancient Carnivore Nutrition. Thank you so much. I think it's your first time here. Welcome. Do any of you have fitness goals in 2025? If so, what are they? If not, why not? Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you all. Let's just go around the room quickly. Raymond, you can answer first.
Fitness goals. No, I don't have fitness goals. I did start my usual alternate day fast. I'll be doing the karate and jiu-jitsu and rock climbing as usual, but no real fitness goal.
Okay, now he asks why don't you have a fitness goal?
Yeah, why?
Honestly, really, I'm sorry to say, and a lot of people will crucify me for this, but it's diet. I rather do the fasting than the fitness. Focus so much on fitness. I mean, because I really believe in the power of carnivore and fasting.
Yeah.
I agree with the power of both, I must say. Fitness and just general strength on its own is very strongly correlated with longevity and health.
Yeah. So what are your fitness goals?
For me personally, I just want to crack the 100 kilograms this year, and then I'll be happy. So I reckon I can do it this year.
Good luck. That's awesome. Great goal. How about you, Julia?
Oh, I want to go and get my DEXA scan and have really good results. That's really
my density. Yeah, that would be awesome.
That's the number one thing for me.
You got a number in mind?
And also, while I was there, like I say, I tried to get the doctors to do as many tests as possible so that I can compare. And my red blood cell count was really down. So I'm hoping that that's better. So really for me, I mean, the gym in my building, they just did a refurb a few days ago. Fantastic. So they got it's just awesome. And I started getting interested in doing weights, and I'd like to do more of that. I have to, I'm still needing a walking stick to walk distances. So I just have to get really strong with that. And once I've got that, then I want to do more, bone density type stuff. And really it's not just fitness, it's about health. Because for me, the calcium went out of the bones and into my joints. So I've got things I'm reversing. So it's just about being consistent and not being swayed by everything around you. This is the thing. What you're listening to is really important. Who your community is. That's why I joined this, because like I say, my community is completely opposite to this. And when you change, you have to change everything. If you really want to change, you have to change everything. You just have to make that commitment. So it's really about being healthy and I love experimenting. It's so interesting. And I'll do things like I'll think, what the heck? Have some chocolate. It's Christmas. And then I'll do that. The results of it, it's terrible. I blow up and look like I'm 9 months pregnant again just from eating a couple of chocolates. It's, the evidence is there. But fitness is in here too. You've got to keep that strength. You've got to have community. You've got to have a sense of connection and purpose, and then you'll be able to get the kind of fitness that you want.
Actually, Julia, you brought up community. You've been in the SPG community for a bit now. I'd love to hear your opinion, your thoughts on what it's like being in SPG.
Look, I'm just so impressed. I really am. I'm so thrilled to be here because I am so impressed. You haven't paid me for this. And, I've joined a couple of different things.
You can picture it later.
That's the ransom note. I've got it already here. But I've joined a couple of different online communities and found everything really clunky. Like it's too slow. Things aren't working properly, or I can't seem to, and it's been very frustrating, and it's affected my ability to really participate. But this has been like from the get-go, from joining it, it was easy. I could just push the button. That's what you do. That's how you join the Zooms. That's how you ask the questions. I remember in my first Zoom call I joined with you, Dr. Phil, I'm pointing that way because that's where he is on the screen for me. But Dr. Phil was, he's over there. So Dr. Phil answered my question, and he didn't make me feel like a dummy. You know how a lot of people do that? Like, they have the knowledge, they're going to talk to you like that you're a dummy because it makes them feel better, I guess. But just being able to ask a question and be spoken to in a way that I could relate to and understand, I could ask more questions, and I just got answers. And I thought, how could I have got this any other way? I'd have to go. I mean, how could I get? And I could get this just by being at home and getting this answer. And what did it cost me? $30, well, American. It's more here. It's like $50 Australian for a month, and I can get information that. How hard would that be to get in any other way? It would be impossible, actually. And but also just each Zoom that I've attended, like I'll be doing things, I have it playing in the background, and other times I'm more focused. But there'll be a nugget, just another little nugget, something else that someone suggested or said, or it's like, oh, great. And so I go and try that thing, And if I was to do that all by myself, I might get there in another 20 or 30 years. But I can get it from here. So yeah, just it's really worth it in my mind. It's really worth it.
Oh wow! I did not expect all of that, but thank you very much. That is wonderful. And
you won't get.
That's okay, Richard. It's great. It's great in there. I agree. It's a family. So, like Julia,
I agree, John. I'm going to endorse you as well because it's been really helpful for my sister. It really has helped her a lot.
Good.
And it's just made it really much easier for me. And it's taken the pressure off me. And it's just really good to have other people giving informed opinions and people who are obviously interested in health and been working in the area and know what they're talking about, telling a similar story and singing the same song. So it's been wonderful. So I'm actually really grateful for your presence, and I'll definitely be recommending you as well.
Wow. Thank you, Richard. I really appreciate that. Both of you, what a compliment. So join the family, guys. If you are interested, it's the best community. Okay. Just kidding.
Facts.
Especially good for vegans.
Yeah.
The vegans can't get us all if we stay in a pack, guys.
That's it. We welcome vegans, though, just to let you know.
We do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always. All right. Shall we finish this question real quick? Todd and then Lindy.
Dr. Phil's next, actually, because you moved him, so he didn't get.
Sorry about that. Phil, Todd, Lindy.
Yeah. So I'm on a peer review protocol that I talked to Bella and Raymond about 6 weeks ago. So I'm doing 7,000 steps a day. I'm doing it 6 days a week, and it's been a very special protocol that is the optimum amount of walking to get the most cardiovascular benefit. So Bella, I don't know when this video is coming out. I keep promoting it every Friday night, but I hope it comes out soon.
You need to rush Max because I'm no longer in charge of posting schedule. So blame it on Max.
Okay. We need to hire a professional editor to get this one done.
I know. We really want to make it the best, so we're taking our time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it'll be a good video for anyone that's dealing with atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease and are very interested in statins and what you can do to reverse plaque in your arteries, because many of you have plaque in your arteries and you want to know what specifically to do. So I hope that helps. And Richard and Julia, thank you for the infomercial you did. I think you should be leaning against a Corvette or something to do that.
I just bought part of a timeshare. I don't know how you did it, but you got me.
Bravo.
I'm good at promotions.
Let's see. For me, planning on getting this last 100 pounds off so I can get some skin reduction surgery because I'm going to have 3 of those probably before it's all said and done. And so I want to get that started the end of this year so I can get that done. Hopefully so it'll all be done by 2026. So
rooting you on, man.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Love that. Lindy.
Yeah, same with me. I've got some skin removal surgery booked as well. And so just wanting to get rid of some more weight as much as I can before that surgery and strengthen my core and muscles. I've been sedentary for such a long time and it's really hard to get around still because, everything's very weak. So I need to just work on that. So I've got myself my rebounder and I've bought myself recently a walking plate, like a walking pad, and so I want to do the 7,000 steps with you, Dr. Phil. So that'll be awesome. Yes, I'm going to join you on that. So that's where I'm going.
Is that every day, 6 days a week? Is that what it is?
Whenever she can.
Yeah.
We're not going to push anyone doing this.
I was kind of curious what the protocol was that Dr. Phil was saying.
What's the protocol? 7,000 a day?
Yeah, if you can do it every day, great. But I always believe in a day of rest. So that's a religious thing with me. So 6 days a week, 7,000 steps. And it just seems to be optimal. They've done studies with doing 10,000 plus, and they've done 5,000, and 7,000 seems to be optimal. So
Great.
Heck, I'm in. I'll do it.
All right.
I've learned from my research as well.
Yep, I'm hopping on board. You come with me.
A walking stick, because they say that it helps with the bone density, the walking. And but yeah, I have to make sure I do my exercise and stuff where everything starts hurting again. But it's a real thrill when you can when you can move your body. But that's great to know, because I've been doing 7,000 because that's the distance to the place that I want to see a beautiful vista. So that was good to know. Thanks for that tip. Another tip.
Awesome.
I like it.
So many great tips from this panel all the time, every day. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, also, I wanted to quickly shout out something that Lindy will never do. So we're doing it for her. Lindy does have a skin removal surgery coming up, but it's because we're all helping to make it happen. And we could still use your help, please. Lindy really deserves this. And she literally was this close to canceling it. And Todd, took over and made this happen. But it's really you guys, the community, helping make it happen. So Todd, a few words.
Yeah, absolutely. So Lindy's going to butcher me whenever we meet up next time, but I started her GoFundMe because she's been on a waiting list for over a year to get a skin reduction surgery. And she had some things going on in the family and with work. And so it's very expensive, which really makes me mad that, our medical system, the Medicaid and stuff will pay for all the insulin that you can stand so you can keep eating junk food and need insulin so that you can keep taking medication. But when you lose 520 pounds like Lindy has and got her life back, they are telling her that all this skin that's completely crippling is an elective surgery that she has to pay out of pocket for, which is tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah, that's crazy. So it's absolutely...
She's undermining the sales of insulin, mate. That's what you got to understand.
Right. And so, anybody that's lost even 100 pounds knows how hard that is. And she's lost 500 pounds, not with any surgeries, not with any drugs, but with carnivore. And she's done the work, has stayed the course for the last 3 years. She got her life back, but this is kind of the finalization of that. I always look at that, the skin surgery part for people our size as kind of the, kind of the resolution, putting it behind you permanently. And so it's really exciting that you guys are all helping. So the GoFundMe's in this link. Even if you can't donate, just put it on your social media and put it out there. And Lindy's so close. She's about 60% of the goal. 65, somewhere in there, and she's so close. And what you're scheduled for February
6th of February.
6th.
So you're coming. You're definitely coming to Tampa. You'll be healed.
Yeah, 3 months they said, so I should be good.
Okay, good. Well, the link is in the live chat, guys. We really love you guys and appreciate your support. If you cannot contribute financially in any way, that's okay. If you can just spread the word for us and share the link on your socials, we would really appreciate it. And I'll make sure to put it in the description box as well for those watching the playback.
Thanks so much.
Thank
This is Julie T's super sticker for this comment.
Hey, Juliet, good to see you. She's an
Awesome,
SVG.
Juliet.
Love you guys. Love you too. I just purchased Dr. Mindy's Fast Like a Girl. Has anyone read it? As she's not carnivore, are there any recommendations or best parts of the book? Phil's actually a pretty big fan of this book. What are your thoughts?
Great book.
Yeah, I think it's a really good book to read. It's not carnivore focused. So on the Chisel program, there's a really good book review that Coach Emily did a couple years ago. And it really has how to convert Dr. Mindy's diet to carnivore. And the main thing to know is when she says go high carb at this point in your cycle, that's when you lean heavier on the higher carb type of protein like seafood and shellfish, which will simulate doing the high carb stuff. So you don't need to do the vegetables and things she's talking about. But what I like about the book, it really goes into great detail about the 6 different types of fasting and what you can hope to achieve with each type of fasting. And it's very informative. And either read that book or something by Dr. Jason Fung. But those would be the 2 people I would lean on if you're trying to find out more about fasting and want to know how to adapt it to carnivore. But don't do what she says with eating all the carbs at certain times in your menstrual cycle.
Yeah, I've interviewed her for my channel and I asked her specifically, can someone who's carnivore and female still follow your protocol but just stick to a carnivore diet? She said, absolutely. Just eat carnivore foods with carbs in it, like cheese, yogurt. She said eggs even have carbs, so you can still stick to it and not have to veer off and eat plants. Hopefully that's helpful. Thank you, Juliet. We have a lot of questions today, so let's really do this rapid fire technique, okay? Can a low body fat percentage be achieved without exercise? Yes. It happened to me. It happened to Raymond. I'm pretty sure it happened to all of us just by changing your diet to, doesn't have to be carnivore, but just cut out the carbs, the added sugars, the processed foods, eat predominantly animal foods, your body fat percentage will go down. So who wants to take this and maybe go into more detail? Raymond?
I want to say, and this is an N=1 for me. I started out because my nurse told me, hey, exercise, you're going to lose some weight. I did it for 7 months. I did Orange Theory, and I was going up to 7 days a week, and I gained a pound. I didn't look any different. I went low carb, high fat. Within a couple weeks, I lost 10 pounds, but I looked like I lost 30 pounds. So you see the difference. So to me, I'm not saying exercise has no merit. It does, but it didn't really do much for me. The carnivore diet was the key for me, especially getting my fats in and eating as low carb then as possible. Of course, when I went carnivore, that just really took off from there.
Yeah. Love that.
I might add, depends what you mean by low body fat. Obviously, the people who are the experts in achieving low body fat are the bodybuilders, and they've got that on lock. And something that they certainly observe in their communities that different people are different. Some people can get ultra low body fat without cardio. Others find that they have to do cardio. So different people are different in that way.
Yes.
But here's one thing is for sure though, you cannot achieve lower or low body fat percentage just through exercise and poor diet. There's no way around that.
I think it's about taking exercise first. It's definitely diet first.
Yes, certainly diet first. Absolutely.
If losing weight is your objective, yeah, definitely diet first.
Yes. Okay. Let's keep going.
All right.
Thank you. Hello, Malia. Welcome. See a carnivore doctor, had every metabolic test possible, 15-month strict carnivore besides coffee, and I gained 7 kg. The doctor says I have him baffled. Okay. Any suggestions? Phil?
Join a community. I mean, we're not going to solve this on a Friday night call, but there's too many variables that could be. But this is an ideal reason to be an SBG, because or to have a personal coach. And if you email Bella, Bella can match you up with a coach. I think the email is sbgchallenge@gmail.com.
Correct.
And email her, give your age, what you're trying to achieve, a little bit of information about you if you're on any medications, and she can find you a coach to work with. But coaching, individual coaching, even if it's 1 or 2 sessions, can often help you break a plateau that you're on.
You know what else can really break a plateau is fasting.
Oh, yeah. We're all big fans here. Yeah, for sure. But yeah. Okay, Malia, keep us posted. If you do want me to match you with a coach, just go ahead and email me. It's in the live chat, and you can get probably the most efficient help that way. Get all of your concerns, questions answered. And then do keep us posted in these live streams. Gunther. Bella, in your recent DEXA video, you mentioned you and your husband have visited China. Yes, we have. I'll be there for months, mostly in tier 1 cities. How can I do high-fat carnivore there? Hot pot is going to be the answer. They have hot pot restaurants on every single street in those cities. Wow. Okay. And we went to Beijing, we went to Hong Kong, Shenzhen. So definitely the bigger cities there, but there's there's hot pot restaurants on every street, and you can just walk in and order all of the meats. And I recommend doing plain water as the soup. I do not recommend their soups or broths because they'll add some weird ingredients like MSG and some other things, sugar for sure. They'll probably add soy sauce as well. So if you just do boiling water with all of their meats offered on the menu, that's probably even better than what you can get here in the States. It's so easy to be high-fat carnivore. Okay, have fun.
Bella, I've never been in a hot pot place. So could you describe, I think you cook your meat out at the table? Is that what it is?
So they bring this big pot, okay, which is why it's called hot pot, big pot of boiling soup. But I swap it out for boiling water. And then they bring you plates and plates and plates of thinly sliced raw meat. And it's raw because they have you cook it at the table, which Todd doesn't love. Okay. He does not like doing work when it's time to eat meat. But it's a tradition, like a social way of eating. Everybody gets to cook their own meat. It's fun. It's interactive. That's basically it. Yeah.
So it's kind of like fondue, except it uses water instead of cheese.
Meat instead of cheese.
Yeah. And that sounds great because you have a big pot. The problem was in Texas, they had a burner about that big with like a Bic lighter underneath of it that was the heat. And it was terrible. You couldn't. I just started eating it raw because it was like $60 a plate. And I can never get it cooked. Like you'd put 5. That's how they make money on it, because you don't have enough flame to cook anything. I just started eating the meat raw because I was like, I'm getting my money worth for sure.
No, I would be annoyed as well, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Sherry, welcome back. Good to see you. Thoughts on smoking? There seems to be a battle in the carnivore world that carbs are worse for health than smoking. Wow. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Cigars, weed, and cigarettes. Okay, so she wants her thoughts on that. Raymond, you have experience coaching clients with this?
Yes. Well, so is carbs worse than cigarette, weed, and cigars? I don't know about that. I want to say carbs is pretty doggone bad, but cigars and cigarettes especially. Now, the thing is I have clients that do weed occasionally, and it doesn't seem to knock them off. But here's what's interesting. They don't need it near as much. So usually whatever that weed high they would get, it's almost not as interesting for them as they progress to carnivore. So I've seen some people just say, I'm going to give that up. What's interesting is one of the strategies that I do is I just tell them, hey, if you really want that, eat your meat first. Okay. That's what I do with coffee. And that seems to get people to stop thinking about these things. And that's what I've done with cigarettes too. Yeah, I understand people who smoke all day or chimney smoke all day. And I tell them, hey, eat something before you do it. And they start cutting down very quickly.
Yeah. Great.
I would agree that carbs are worse than cigars and pipe tobacco. I don't know about cigarettes. Cigarettes have so much crap in them. I smoked Marlboro Reds for about 12 years, and those took a number on my lungs. It was nasty. And I have no clue about weeds, but I would agree. I think cigars, clean cigars and clean pipe tobacco are probably a lot healthier than carbs, or at least sugar, I would guess. But I think they're all bad, so don't do any of them.
Yeah.
So let me give a little physiology answer to this, because you've been created with a certain amount of lung function, and when you inhale things, whether you're vaping or doing cigarettes or any kind of inhaling things, you are slowly reducing your lung function, and you will reduce 60 to 70% of your lung function before you even know it. And then when you get down to about 30% lung function, you're going to start being symptomatic. And at that point, you've already done the damage. And that's how people develop chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and chronic asthma, because they think they're healthy enough to do it, and they do it so long that they eventually lose a little bit. And the longer you do it, the more damage is done until you get down to the point of no return. And it's much like kidney failure, where you can get by with 20% of your kidney function, but by the time you notice you have kidney damage, you've already lost 80% of your kidneys. So I'm just going to warn that there is no good benefit from any of this, and because of what it does to your lungs, and that includes vaping. And I just think that you need to be aware that it's a lifetime of mismanaging your body gets to a point of no return, and you're going to regret it later on. So consider not doing it.
Sure.
All right, Hooligan, welcome back. My goal is to go back to active duty. Wow. There will be times where staying carnivore is impossible. What issues do you see with diet constantly flip-flopping, Todd?
Man, so I don't know. I wonder what's in those MREs you guys get in active duty. That could be tricky, but and it ain't like you can fast when you're fighting a war. So that might be tough. I don't know. That would be tricky. Flip-flopping is a little bit difficult, because I know that, I get pretty have a low tolerance to things now that I used to, I don't know, that didn't bother me before. Now I break out and stuff. I don't know, man. I think RFK needs to make a carnivore friendly MRE for you guys. That's what I think needs to happen. We shouldn't be poisoning our soldiers, is what I think. We should be supporting you guys. Yeah. I mean, I wonder if this could happen. You know how if you can pretend that you're Jewish and you can say you want certain meals, right? Because of your faith. I think the military has to do that. I wonder if any of the religious meals would be more carnivore. Because what's the Jewish one?
Kosher.
Yeah, because I know that you can tell them that you're Jewish and you have to have kosher meals and they have to give them to you. I wonder if there's I wonder if you could research what religion you need to pretend to be to get the best food exemption.
Man.
Yeah, we did find from Carnivore Chat that it's better to be in the Navy because they feed you better.
True.
Oh, is that so? Wow, interesting.
Yeah, they make full meals every day in the Navy, but when you're out in the infantry or Air Force, a lot of times you're eating MREs, ready to eat meals, meals ready to eat, and I don't have a good answer for you. I don't think it's good switching back and forth all the time, but there are so many times that you can get a decent meal. And I'm with Todd. I'm hoping RFKJ will look at this and say this is something that we could do differently, because there are options today that we could be feeding our servicemen better. And as carnivore gets more accepted, I'd rather have Sean Baker go defend our country than Pee Wee Herman.
Right. Exactly. Stop. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Hooligan says, I'm a Marine and that's where I'm trying to go back to.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you so
I
much.
don't know, I'm a bit of a fan of the concept of metabolic flexibility, of being able to like eat this and eat that, and when the fruit comes on the tree, then you eat the fruit, and when there isn't fruit, you don't eat the fruit. And having times where you eat carbs, I don't see that as a problem. And I certainly would also say, like, the more that you eat meat, the better. If you're carnivore, say, 80% of the time, that's better than being carnivore 20% of the time. So it depends on how long it is you're going to spend unable to eat nutritious food, depending what it is they're able to feed you. I don't see that has to be that bad a thing. When I agree with you, like, more beef jerky and the MRE sounds good to me. RFK Jr., he'd be the guy to push that if anyone's going to.
For sure. I just can't imagine that anything good is happening in that plastic wrap tinfoil thing where you hit the little bubble and it opens up a chemical that heats up your food in there. I can't imagine that there are good things going on in that package for you. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, sure. That's like plastic and all that too.
Yeah, and chemicals and nonsense. Yeah, they need to treat us better. My dad was a Marine, and he got really sick from Camp Lejeune and from Agent Orange, so they don't mind poisoning us. That's for certain.
Okay. User, this is a follow-up about her mom. She says, I agree, no biopsy, ruled out cancer, recommending removal sounded wrong. Okay. I will have her seen here in the UK. In the meantime, iodine and carnivore. Sounds like a great plan. Do keep us posted on your mama. Okay. Yeah. Happy holidays.
Plenty of fat.
Yes, plenty of fat. Marie, welcome. I noticed my blood pressure isn't dropping whilst eating carnivore. I do have adrenal fatigue. Should I back off salt completely and fat? So blood pressure not dropping. We see this a lot. Who wants to explain this? Phil, do you want to take it?
Yeah. Usually blood pressure not dropping is not due to too much salt and too much fat. It's usually due to some adrenal some cortisol imbalance, and you lower your cortisol levels with some walking every day, stress reduction, sleeping better, making sure you're getting some good circadian sleep. Go to bed at about the same time of night. Don't use a lot of bedtime blue light or use blue blockers. Raymond recommends grounding, which has been helpful to some people. Getting up early in the morning, take your shoes off, walk out barefoot in the grass, watch the sunrise. These are all things that will help to reduce your cortisol levels in your body and often helps your blood pressure. Also, if your weight's coming down, that will help as well. But this is where that 7,000 steps a day would be helpful as well. Now, occasionally people do need blood pressure medicine. For various reasons, because they have some pre-existing conditions. So it's okay to bridge with blood pressure medicine while you're getting your body healing. But there are some that are healthier than others. So make sure that you know what you're taking, why you're taking it. Are you on the best medicine to help you? And do monitoring of your blood pressure 1 week a month. Do your blood pressure 3 times a day, morning, noon, and bedtime, and see what your average blood pressure is. Because there's many people that have a high reading when they're in the office and they have what we call white coat hypertension, and they're being treated based on being in the doctor's office and not what their blood pressure really is. So make sure you're not being over-treated for that. And then the final thing is, what is the number your doctor is shooting for? Because in the United States, they've lowered the standard for blood pressure to be much lower than we traditionally have it. So you have to work with your doctor looking at specific age and risk factors and make sure you have a reasonable target for your blood pressure and not an artificially low target.
Thank you, Phil. Perfect. All right, Nav. So, is the imbalance of omega-3 and 6 caused by an abundance of O6 from years of eating foods with seed oils that are stored in my body? And is that why I need more omega-3s?
Yeah, this goes back to this idea. We tend to get way too much omega-6 in our diet, but your body will balance out over time, Nav, with eating good carnivore foods. And like I said, go ahead and increase your omega-3s. Look for high sources, something like salmon once a week, get good quality eggs, and look for other things that are higher in omega-3. But don't feel like it's your body's a storehouse for omega-6 that you can't eliminate it. Your body will continue to heal over time and purge the bad stuff. And we talk a lot about oxalate dumping and getting oxalates out of your body. There's a lot of stuff we need to rebalance in our body. It's not just oxalates. And we need to get out with the bad and in with the good, and get in with more good. And you see Julia tonight, she's talking about getting her DEXA scan up and eating well, lots of protein to get that calcium matrix in her bone better, because she had a hip fracture if you came in late. And we all have a lot of healing to do in different aspects of our body.
Beautiful. Sherry says, Dr. Phil, I have a friend, 6-year carbivore with COPD. A1C is 6 with low red blood count. Would high-fat lion diet be the best option for helping symptoms slow down?
Does she really mean carbivore, or does she mean carnivore?
Yeah, I don't know if
I
that's
don't know if that-
intentional.
I think
Yeah.
she's saying a low carbon carnivore.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Carnivore.
You know, so, carnivore. Okay.
Carnivore.
I was a little, okay. Thank you, Sherry, for correcting that in there. Let's go back to the question. So, her A1C is a little borderline high. Still could be normal for a carnivore, but probably indicates a little bit of insulin resistance. A lion diet and fasting is always a great way to go, because the fasting will do more for the insulin resistance. Lion is great for the autoimmune diseases, to be the most anti-inflammatory diet. But with your A1C of 6, I would be looking at getting on some fasting protocols. Coach Raymond, you might give some suggestions for that.
Yes. So choose either lion or choose the fasting route. Lion tends to, I know she's a 6-year carnivore. I don't know how many lion diets have she done during that time. But typically people tend to undereat during that time. So I would say if she's never done the lion, do that for like a month. And then perhaps after that, go ahead and go into a fasting regimen. I have a great fasting protocol that you may want to take a look into. It's very well balanced it's a nourished fasting idea. So it's very balanced in really taking care of your nourishment to make sure that you are capable of fasting. But like Dr. Phil said, fasting will definitely lower that A1C lower, should that be a worry for you.
So she says she cannot fast, so maybe it's best to take the lion diet route, would you say?
For sure.
Yeah, and maybe down the line, she can do some gentle fasting.
Exactly.
Yeah, and this is where Mindy Peltz's book is really good, talking about doing intermittent fast of 17 hours. So you do 2 meals a day, and you do it within a 5 to 7 hour window, and then you fast the other 17 hours. So not, we normally think of fasting as a day or two, up to 5 days. I'm doing right now, I'm on a roll of what's called alternate day fasting, 32 to 42 hours. And the intermittent fasting is doing less than 24 hours, but doing 16 or more hours. And according to what Mindy Pelt says, 17 or more gives you the benefit of autophagy. It's a better sweet spot for autophagy, if we can use sweet spot as a phrase for a carnivore. But I think there's a lot of people out there that could do 2 meals a day and do some intermittent fasting, eat within a 6 to 7 hour window, and they would get their insulin resistance a lot better.
For real, yes.
Very good. Before I do Oldie's question here, I just wanted to be considerate of Richard and Julia, their time. So typically, I'm not sure if we gave you a heads up beforehand. Typically, these live streams will do a couple hours. Later on, we have Dr. Chafee visiting SBG, so it won't be too long. But if you guys do need to drop off or say goodbye, don't feel bad that you have to leave. We'll just keep going. That's okay too. So just checking in on you guys and your time.
Okay.
11.
Yeah. I'm all right.
Yeah, good to keep going. Yep.
Wonderful. Happy to have you guys. All right. Oldie says, I've been interested in full beef fat consumption, only X3 months. My question is raw or slightly heated? I'll answer this. Hands down, the best way to eat fat is always going to be raw versus slightly heated. And the reason is it's just easier to digest. If you're worried about safety, like, oh my gosh, what if I get sick? What if I get a bug? Just make sure that the fat is from a local rancher, from a local butcher shop. Don't get it from Walmart and eat that raw, obviously. Okay. Try to go for a higher quality source. If you cannot find anywhere near you, I recommend Grassland Nutrition. I would eat bags and bags of their raw suet. It really helped me heal quick. Grassland Nutrition, their website, as well as Billy Doe Meat. I'll type it in the live chat. But you can typically find it for cheap, $1 to $5 per pound at local butcher shops. Raw is always better. All right, let's keep going.
I don't see a question from Nab with this one. I'm looking for it.
I think Nab needs some time, so we can circle back. No worries.
Sounds good. All right, I think we caught up on those. And then remind me if you did this one already. I don't remember doing this one.
No, I have not. And there's a great one since World Carnivore Month is coming up. Ooh, I want to know in the live chat, guys, who is starting carnivore for the first time or restarting again for World Carnivore Month, which is January in just a couple days here. Let us know in the chat and comments. Joyce wants to know, I am so confused as to what to drink. So you can drink water. You can drink hot water, cold water, room temp water, which is really good variety just there. Okay. You can have sparkling water. You can have coffee. Coffee is absolutely okay. I don't care what those hardcore carnivores say. If it makes you feel fine, like Raymond, if it makes you feel fine, just enjoy it. Like it's not that bad. And if you really want to make sure you're enjoying it safely, Raymond always recommends, and I learned this from him, eat first, then drink your coffee. World of a difference. That's the best thing you can do. You can have tea, but there's oxalates in tea. So I personally don't touch tea. You can have herbal tea. Those are fine, like some peppermint tea, mint tea. Those are totally fine. What am I missing here, Raymond, besides sparkling water? Tea?
You've mentioned most of it. You could have a little bit of infused lemon. Some people do that for oxalates.
Totally fine. Absolutely. Yeah. Maybe don't squeeze the heck out of your lemon into your water because that's a lot of oxalates right there. You can infuse it. There's a reason why Raymond says infuse. Slice it and let it soak in the water. Nice and refreshing. Did I miss anything, Todd?
You're asking the wrong guy. I've only drank sparkling water pretty much for the last 2 years.
Okay. Julia or Richard, what do you guys drink besides all of that?
I missed some of that, but for me, sparkling water, I squeeze a little bit of lemon because I have the oxalate stuff from vegan to carnivore. So, other than that, I'm drinking coffee I didn't used to drink coffee. I started drinking coffee in hospital because it was just something that was something sort of fun in the day. So I stuck with that, but heaps of butter and oh my God, discovered cream. Like, I didn't know that tasted so good. So yeah, I'm just really into that. Other than that, just heaps and heaps of water, because I used to just drink tea all day and all night. I just had a constant thermos of tea. That's all I drank. But now it's I'm not drinking the tea because I'm concerned about. I think that could be an element of why I manifested this condition.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that. Let's keep going from Sheena Bella.
Sorry.
All right, this is for you, Raymond. Okay, we're doing rapid fire now. So for those who want questions answered, put the name of who you want to answer your question and then your question. Okay. Sheena Bella for Raymond. If I want to lose body fat, do I need to limit calories or do I listen to my body as to how much fatty meat I eat? Great question.
That is a great question. So as far as limiting calories, I don't really like doing that or even measuring calories, but fasting is very handy. Leaving yourself a window of eating open if you're interested in intermittent fasting, and also alternate day fast. That is one great way to go down body fats. So some people like that aspect of looking at a weekly amount of calorie to make sure they're getting enough calories. So that may be of interest to you to look at that, making sure you're getting your weekly calorie in as you fast with alternate day fast. But I do it by feel. So, I'll do alternate day where I'll do eat every other day, but 2 meals every other day. Some people like rolling 48s, which is just 1 meal. What I need to say about that is making sure that you get your amount of time in. In hours, give yourself 2 hours to eat on these OMADs to be able to digest properly, and then making sure you're eating enough. But all of that, we teach that in the SB gang if you're interested in that. So that's our style through fasting. Low calorie, though, has given a lot of people a lot of problems. So
none of us support that. Please don't go back there. It's not worth it. Malchus, this is for Todd. I've been off and on carnivore. I'll go 2 months, and as soon as I eat something with sugar, it is downhill fast. Any suggestions on cravings?
Well, the good news is you identified a big part of the problem in this question here. As soon as you eat sugar, you go downhill fast. So you know your trigger. So so the question is, why are you eating sugar? Do you think you're a moderator and you're just not? Or are you just kind of getting caught with your guard down, So I don't like to get caught with my guard down, which for me, that means not having, either being in a tempting situation with an empty belly and hungry. That's not good. Or running out of food, not planning correctly, or, making a good game plan. But I know that these things are, for me are such temptation, and I'm not a moderator, I'm an abstainer. So if I'm going to, I just make sure that, in the morning I'm eating my meat, that I always have the path of least resistance is to meat. And then I have to just remember, I've worked pretty hard to make sure that when I think of anything with sugar in it, I'm thinking of it as rat poison, as, heroin, as a street drug, as the thing that made me sick for 40 years, And so I've learned to detest that stuff, and I hold it as a enemy of mine. And so I just keep my guard up, And so I think we tend to get complacent, especially when we're feeling better, right? I did that for a long time. When you feel better, you kind of drop your guard. And so I would eat more fat, try to make sure that you prepare, as best as you can to protect yourself. And then maybe if you're thinking you're a moderator, maybe it's time to think you're not and completely stay away from that and just be an abstainer for a while and see if that goes better. So, and join a community. Number 1, too, you need help in joining a community. If you're not part of SBG, come in, because we'd like to help keep you accountable, and not in like a, bullwhip type of way, but somebody has been there, a whole group of people that have been there before. So
love that. Yep.
If I can just say, I think it's a mental game too. Like write down the list of pros and cons for eating sugar, and the pros are like this. The cons are like this, and what are the pros? So I know that because sweets have been, like I used to just say, they're the bane of my life for such a long time. And as soon as I, went the carnivore way, the desire went, but it'll still be there. And I think, oh, that's a nice thing. I'm allowed to have that. And then when I put it in my mouth, it's just sort of tasteless and fatty and strange sweetness. There's something about it. It's just not nice. But it's the effects afterwards, terrible effects afterwards. And so now when I reach out to it, I try to think of what benefit did I get from that? How did that improve how I'm feeling, And this body is my temple. So when you really think like that too, you consider, okay, I've only got this body for X period of time. So I have to do the best I can to look after it, because I want to have when I'm 80 or 90 years old, I want to have a vehicle that will allow me to still experience life, not be that stage and not able to experience it properly. So is sugar really of benefit? If you can really find some benefits in having it, then maybe a limited amount, or who are you pleasing as well, or is it really? So many things like that, and just writing it down. Spend some time, write it down, put on some nice things. You can give yourself a whole bunch of reasons.
Love that.
Yeah, it really helps.
That works.
Think bigger.
Yeah,
think
that's
bigger.
right. You've got
Don't
to
just
think
think about
the
it right
picture.
now. Think bigger.
Yeah, that's right. You've got to get that long-term kind of way of thinking. But sometimes you have to have a real reason, So I hope that you don't have to have too much of a real reason, but it takes us some things to happen to make change.
Yeah.
That's lasting.
For sure.
That's great, Julia. So you can write it down and put it on your fridge. That could probably help. Every time you open the fridge or your cabinet, you see that paper. And let me just, before I do oldie here, let me just put this up. So I want to shout out Dr. Wiedemann's low carb cruise. No, sorry, it's called the Carb Sober Cruise, not low carb cruise. And it's in February, leaving from Florida, and I will be on it with my husband, Max. So this question here, will I be teaching / lecturing? No, I will be on vacation, but I'll be on vacation with you guys. Okay. So you can absolutely hang out with me, eat all the meat with me, and we can chat and talk all things carnivore if you want. Just find me. I'll be on that cruise. I'm not going to do any official teaching or lecturing. It's a good time. It's just to relax and live the carnivore life on a cruise together as a community. And it's Dr. Lisa Wiedemann's event. So I will link that in the live chat if you want a vacation with us. All right, you can put it up. Thanks, Todd. Oldie, my concern is will this poorly studied anti-ruminant methane vaccine take nutrients away from our protein? Raymond, you look like you want to share.
I don't like the idea of even my cattle's being vaccinated per se, much less this new vaccine. But I mean, we don't know, so we can't tell. I mean, we're just finding out right now what some people are getting affected from these mRNA vaccines through the COVID times, and that's not good. So can it go through the cow and affect us? None of us know. I'm hoping that the cows with their 4 intestines, I don't know if that actually matters because it's not even going through the intestinal tract, but I don't know. Hopefully we'll have some studies and some people do it and some people don't, and that's how we'll be able to tell.
Well, we got to stand up against all this nonsense. I know I was talking to some of the local ranchers here in Montana today, and they of course it's some emotional talk, but they're like, I think we all just need to band together and tell them, you put a hole in our cows, we're going to put a hole in your back. And so don't plan on putting any jabs in our damn cows, and I'm fully on board with that. We got to stop this someplace. So we're going to go ahead and trade jabs, and you ain't going to like ours.
Well, isn't the purpose behind it to stop them emitting methane or something, but isn't that like a natural function? You know, there's certain things that are natural functions, and if you're going to interfere with a natural function, that's obviously deleterious. So it's senseless, and it's just another band-aid for something that's bigger.
The other one is the no methane. This mRNA jab, I'm not really sure what that one's for, but that's not for methane. So there's another one that is for methane that's on the dairy cows.
Right. The mRNA one is supposed to be for the bird flu, the avian bird flu crossover horse shit. And then the methane one is actually what they're putting in the feed. And they're feeding it through their food. And so both apply. It's such an obvious, you know, they're not doing this to Little Debbie or Hostess cupcakes. You know, it's so funny. They always attack chicken, eggs, and beef and ruminant animals. It's incredible. The one thing that can make everybody healthy. It's so ridiculous. It's so obvious what they're doing. It's just an attack.
Well, so as you know, natural function, you're creating problems, aren't you? You know.
Yeah, well, they're doing a bit bang up job at making things better now, aren't they? You know, with 74% of us sick. It's crazy.
Big thing is let's keep talking about it. Let's talk about it. Talk to your congressman about it. Talk to whoever you can has an ear for this, and that's what will make the change.
Thank you, Raymond. So does Nav have a question? Because he says YouTube won't let me write my question in the super chat. I'm going to type it.
Right. And then I want to say, you just wrote a question in the super chat.
Yeah, that worked. Nav. You've been doing it all night, so maybe.
Right. Well, and he just did there, but I'm going to guess that whatever your question is what channel is Nav on? Because it's probably getting stuck in the filter.
Oh, Nav, whose channel are you watching the live stream on? You can put it in the chat. We'll circle back. No worries. Okay, let's keep going. Kimberly, this is for you, Phil. I'm in perimenopause and on oral progesterone. I am starting strict carnivore January 1st with the Kickstart group. Oh, welcome. Can't wait to see you. How will I know if my hormones are healing and I do not need progesterone?
Yeah, this is a tough thing because when you're taking external human hormones, you actually feed back to your endocrine system and it says, don't produce this anymore because I've got plenty around. It's a negative feedback loop. So, what you have to do is just go a period of time for the sex hormones like progesterone and estrogen. I would recommend at least 6 months of carnivore before you start tapering down a sex hormone. And the difference between the sex hormones from the protein hormones is that they're steroid hormones, and they actually recover quicker than the protein hormones do. So I would say 6 months, work with your doctor, say, hey, I want to cut the progesterone dose in half, see what happens, and then go from there. And you want to be having your doctor measure your LH and your FSH, which are the feedback hormones in your pituitary gland that are producing stimulating the ovary to produce progesterone in the first place, mostly the LH. So if you get a baseline of those, and then you can use those if your doctor will work with you, and you can begin to monitor those and see what they do, create a graph of them, and you can use that to see how your levels are coming out.
Yay, thank you, Phil. And we'll see you in SBG, Kimberly. Welcome, welcome. I just want to feature this one real quick from Kate. Hi, Kate. I live in Florida, and I'm coming to Hack Your Health in Tampa. Yay! Can't wait to see you and Kelly Hogan and, hopefully Limitless Lindy. Okay. We can't wait to see you.
Can I throw this one up there real quick?
Where in Montana, Todd?
Bozeman. Don't hold that against me, though. I'm originally from Miles City, so we moved here. We're not part of that part.
Where are you from?
Miles City, Montana. Miles City's cowboy country. This is kind of the liberal techie town.
Yep. So with the Tampa event, it's called Hack Your Health. This year it was in Texas, and this upcoming year, it will be in Tampa, which is the host's hometown, Robin. And she is wonderful. She is so passionate about carnivore, keto, biohacking, just healthy living. And for her to throw these events is just so considerate, because it is absolutely the biggest, most well-attended carnivore event to date. It just is. And I got to see it with my own eyes. I met so many of my community members of my favorite carnivores at the event. So it's a great place to just get all of your socializing done and make those friends that you need to stay with this lifestyle. So we'll link it in the live chat. And Dr. Phil, did you want to talk about your presentation that we'll do?
Well, we're having a panel discussion on how to survive as a carnivore in a non-carnivore world. And I think it'll be a fun panel. You can ask your questions. My focus is always, how do you talk to your doctor and make your doctor your partner rather than your parent in your healthcare? Because so many people, their doctors lecturing them, and you really need a doctor who you can have good discussions, look at risk benefits of everything you're doing, and turn them into a carnivore friendly doctor. And I had a carnivore unfriendly cardiologist and a family physician, and I got both of them carnivore friendly now. So there is a technique to do it. You don't have to be a doctor to do that. So, and back to the cow fart vaccine, the language I'm using is, what could possibly go wrong with that? Because every time they introduce these wild, wide-brained, wild, half-brained ideas, they never turn out as well as they think they're going to.
You remember how they had to stop throwing rice at weddings because the birds were exploding?
Oh, right.
Yeah,
We're going to see
with all the dry rice.
Cows.
Yeah.
You're going to see exploding cows next.
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong?
All right, here's our next cue. Exactly right. She says, I get bored quickly on carnivore and soon start to seek out other foods, usually carbs. Any tips to stop this? Raymond, do you want to bring up your banana trick? Like, would this be applicable?
Yeah, so the banana trick is great for people who have a problem transitioning, not quite people who are bored. So the boredom happens because of palate fatigue. We like to do, hey, spice it up a little bit, add a little bit of vinegar, add a little bit of mustard, add a little bit of spices. As long as you're tolerable to these spices, do that. And you'll notice you can make a lot of fun food. The latest that I've done and coached about is Jello. You can make water Jello. You can make like there's this egg custard if you want to, because gelatin also thickens a certain way. So you could even use the gelatin on the bone broth and spice it a certain way, and it tastes really good. So there's so many creative ways. And Bella has a lot of that stuff on her channel. So I would say, hey, take a look at even carnivore pizza, right, Bella?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
Just go to my Bella's Cafe playlist. I have all of the creative recipes, the more mimicking standard American meals types of recipes that are still fully carnivore. I make those for my husband specifically because he misses those meals. And I know a lot of people like this one, asking the question, they need it. They need it to adapt. So check it out. I'll link it in the chat. All right, this is for me. Joyce says, what do we drink? Okay, we already answered this one. BK. Okay. No worries. Let's do Nav. How often can I eat cod liver? What do you think, Phil?
I don't think there's a limit to it, but probably, if you're going to eat cod livers, if you do it once a month, you'll probably get everything you need. I think people tend to overdo, but if you think about the natural order of things, you can look at a lion eating an animal, and an animal's got a lot of muscle, but only has one liver. So in the wild, animals don't live on liver all day long. They eat a lot of muscle meat. And so the liver is something they do eat. It's a superfood. It's got a lot of minerals and vitamins in it, but you don't need to overdo it. Once a month would be adequate.
I'm guessing I overdid it then. I ate a can of cod livers every day for about 8 months.
I don't know how you did not feel disgusted by that. You liked it? You wanted it?
I like the cod livers better than I like sardines, actually.
Yeah. Good point. I agree with that.
So.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so do we have any more super chats?
No, I think we caught up to him.
We have to keep an eye on time because
exactly, that's exactly what I was about to announce.
Yeah.
Yes, so please do not send any more super chats, guys. We will have to wrap up soon. Dr. Chafee is coming in SPG to answer member questions, so we will wrap up in, I want to say, like 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and do rapid fire of all of our questions submitted, and then we will say goodnight just for today. We'll come back next week. All right, BK, what do you mean eat fats? Are you meaning some 30 to 70 fat to protein mix or 100% fat? When I say eat more fat, I typically just mean eat more pure fat. I'm not saying eat more fatty meats or a blend or a specific macro or protein to fat ratio. I mean, eat a couple bites of butter, eat a couple bites of raw suet. And specifically, I'll encourage that when somebody's saying, Bella, I'm not getting my period, or, you know, I'm trying to heal this and this and this. Typically, fat is just the answer. Eat more fat. Okay, great. All right, I've been carnivore 11 months now, seriously losing hair the last 3 months. I haven't changed anything, not sure if it's stress related. Any suggestions what to do /try/supplement? For hair loss, we talk about this almost every week. I guess it's a thing that people do struggle with, and it's difficult because we'll typically say hair loss happens a couple weeks after the stressful scenario that you put your body through. It can be over-exercising. It can be over-fasting. It can be under-eating. It can also be a lot of stress at work or within your family. It could also be losing someone in your life. Your hair will typically suffer a couple weeks after that. So what we like to encourage is just eat more. Try to do the priming protocol if you're not familiar with it. Raymond's protocol is priming, and it's all about intentionally eating 3 meals a day for as long as your body needs it. Okay. And that could be different for each carnivore trying to heal. For people trying to bring back the hair, I saw hair growth after 6 months of priming, just to give you guys perspective. 6 months of eating 5 pounds of meat a day. Okay, so just let that sink in. It could mean a lot longer than you think, but eat more. That's our best advice. Are there concerns for women over 50 eating a carnivore diet with ranges of protein between 150 and 200 grams per day? Lindy, if you don't mind taking this. Do you know how much protein you eat?
I have no idea because it stresses me out to try and measure my food, protein and fat ratios. It just did my head in. So I just eat until I'm full, and then I just wing it every day. Every day is different. So I just don't like to track or do anything. Maybe when I get closer to my goals, tracking may be something I'll need to consider then. But now I'm losing the weight. I have my stalls, and I just sort of do a bit of prime here to get my metabolism ramped up, and then eat normally. I've got all the tools I need, but tracking is not one of those right now. So
I love that. And are you concerned about eating a carnivore diet within your age range right now?
Absolutely not. This is the way for me for the rest of my life. I feel amazing, and I never want to go back to how I was before. That food freedom I have now is just, you can't buy it. Like, it's just unreal. So yeah.
Well said.
No problem.
Philly, this is for Phil. Thoughts on carnivore and having a family history of colon cancer?
Yeah, personal interest to me because I have a family history of colon cancer and I'm a carnivore. So I am kind of overdue for my next colonoscopy and looking forward to see if I have any polyps because I have had precancerous polyps removed. So stay tuned. After I get my colonoscopy, I'll let you know because it's been 5 years since I've had one and I've been carnivore for 16 months. So we'll see what happens. But the whole idea that you have to eat a high fiber diet to avoid colon cancer, that's kind of a myth. And in fact, fiber doesn't do a whole lot of good for your for your intestines. We see people healing from diverticulosis and diverticulitis and from polyps eating a carnivore diet. So I would not be scared at all, as I am not with a family history of colon cancer. So, but you got to decide for yourself. But those are my thoughts.
Perfect. This is for you, Raymond, from Rock Roll. Raymond, I want to prime. I understand I need to eat when I'm hungry, but I'm hungry all the time. I do construction 8 hours days. My lunch break is never more than 45 minutes. So how do I prime with my schedule?
Well, eating 3 meals a day is kind of important for that. So you do construction 8 hours a day. So it's going to be all about meal prepping. And by the way, during priming, you're eating even if you're not hungry. That's the idea. You're just pushing 3 meals a day, comfortably stuffed, coffee as dessert. The best thing that I can say is meal prep for your construction work. So probably bring a lunch, a hearty lunch. Hopefully you have more than 30 minutes to eat, but 30 minutes should do. And during dinner time, right when you get home, make sure you already have something ready or easy to do. So I would recommend the air fryer so that it's very easy, like 10 minutes, you just slap it in the air fryer and it's ready. So that's probably best tips that I can have for now. Bella, any thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like just preparing your meals, have those burger patties ready to go and have a lot of them and just bring it to work. If you can just eat it whenever you get a break, right? Even if it's just 2 minutes, stuff your face.
Yeah, breakfast and dinner are going to be very important when you're working in the field, because if you eat a big lunch and try to go work hard, you're not going to be a happy camper. So
Great point.
in construction, breakfast and dinner are key.
Yeah. Start eating your nutrition right when you wake up. It'll do you a lot of good. Yeah. Cobra. So this is a hair loss update from her. This is great. She says, I am having less fallout since I have upped my fat and protein. That's phenomenal. But there are days that I'm not hungry. So do I need to eat so my hair doesn't start falling out again? So she's asking if she still needs to eat now when she's not hungry. Phil, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that you're probably on the road to healing, and you should be able to maintain it. It's just you don't want to get into calorie restrictions to where you're not getting enough to eat. So I just think you need to always make sure you're getting enough to eat in your weekly diet. And our biggest problem we see in SBG that are people that are chronically under eating. And usually the solution is upping the amount of intake. And Bella, how much meat did you have to eat? You're 5'10" and
I'm 5'10". I ate 5 pounds a day for quite a long period. And plus sticks of butter as well. I just ate as much as I wanted. Yeah. So hopefully that helps, right? Last question we'll take this for you, Todd. You said in other lives that you know when your metabolism is going up or down. How do you measure it, please?
Yeah, just by brain fog. If I'm starting to have brain fog issues, if I'm having low energy, and if I'm kind of moody and I want to sleep a bunch, I can just feel. It's just a feeling. I can feel my metabolism when it's going down, which is usually caused by under eating chronically or doing a lot of extreme fasting. But the first thing is the brain fog that doesn't come back, or the clarity doesn't come back right away when eating. I know that my metabolism kind of took a hit, and then I watch that come back, and spectacularly when I reprime every time. And so I've done that enough times now. The first one is the brain fog, not being able to concentrate, being a little bit extra moody, and then just super low energy and being tired.
Perfect. Thank you, Todd. All right. I'm so sorry if you did not get your question answered tonight in our live stream, but we try our best to do these every single week unless there are meetups or other events. But if you want to ensure that you get the help you need and get your questions answered, SBG is really the best way to go. And that is linked down below in the description box. Now, I want to thank, it's also on the screen. Thank you for that. I want to thank Julia and Richard for joining us today and for sharing their story. Julia and Richard, please share. How can people connect with you? Anything you would love to plug? Go ahead.
I don't know how people connect with me. Yeah, you have to. I don't know how to do that, but I suppose you have to tell me how to do that. I don't
So
know.
do you have a YouTube channel? Maybe you
People
don't, or
think we need to meet. I do a face-to-face talking to people kind of guy.
Yeah. I do have a YouTube channel. I'm just in the process of changing
Great.
actually, anyway, because well, it's a yoga YouTube channel, but now I'm doing more arts and that kind of thing. But it's called Good Juju Divine Art. So Divine Arts. And, I'll sort that out. But yeah, because Juju is my nickname, so it's Good Juju Divine Arts. So you very well find me on there, and I have a Facebook page named that as well. Yeah.
Amazing.
I'd
Perfect.
be happy if I can help anyone. I'd be more than happy.
I'll make sure to link it down below. How about you, Richard?
Thank you.
I'm not really very reachable. I'll talk to people face to face, but I don't really have much of an online presence.
That's okay. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. I'll be sure to link it down below after I get the links from Julia. Let's see, any final thoughts that you guys would like to share? Lindy, Todd, Phil, Raymond?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of folks in January. So hopefully it's going to be great. It's going to be a January month. Please join us. So we want our communities to be as big as possible and, help heal the world.
I love the work you do. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
All
feel
righty
very
then.
Thank you.
We're so happy you're part of it. Okay, so that's it for today. I will wrap up. We'll see you guys in SPG for Dr.
Good night,
Chafee.
everyone.
If you're in there in 15 minutes,
Okay.
we wish you happy holidays, happy New Year, guys, and we'll see you in our next live stream. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have
Love
a
you
beautiful day
all.
too.